Hi guys, what's up? And welcome to Love You Mean It. This is a sit down talk with your host, Khadijah Muhammad. Hi. Also, others know me by Kadma. That's like my handle. It's been my handle since I think like late middle school, early high school, and it just stuck. And so many people always refer to me as Kadma, and some people say Kadma or whatever. And I'm just like, my name's Khadijah, so whatever floats your boat is great for me. But hi, welcome to my new series. I think this is going to be so good for the girlies that just like to sit and listen to a good yap session for however long, maybe in the morning, maybe at night. I'm in your ears at the gym. Whatever it is, so be it. But today, I wanted to do a story time on my first kiss because I thought it would be so fun to tell this story. I don't think I've ever said this out loud before, but I, like the rest of the world, maybe, I don't know, like in movies, had their first kiss when they were 16. Is that considered a late bloomer to have your first kiss at 16? I don't know, but here is my personal story time. And I was so nervous to even have my first kiss because I was like, what is this thing? I had always, for as long as I can remember, when I was growing up, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I wonder who my first kiss is going to be. You know what I mean? And I remember being so frightened, so fearful to date or to like a boy because of my dad. I was just like, I don't think, I should be feeling these feelings. But I thought I saw a bird out my window, but I didn't. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, it was the perfect time. I was a sophomore in high school. And I remember I got invited to this birthday party by one of my close girlfriends at the time. And she had this like hotel party for whatever reason. Like we were just like coming and like hanging out at a hotel. And I don't think it was a sleepover or anything. I can't remember, but I just remember like going and we were all like hanging out there. So it was like a bunch of like the girls and the guys that were like kind of around this like friend group. Now, granted, I wasn't in this particular friend group because she also had friends like outside of me. And I think maybe she had some friends from other schools come too. I'm trying to remember, but I remember it was just a bunch of like 15, 16-year-olds. And we were all hanging out in this hotel room. And I think we were like playing games and just like innocent little child stuff. Maybe, oh my gosh, my memory really is not serving me. But I remember this guy. I started to just like him, and I had known him for years. Like he went to my middle school, he went to my high school, and I was a cheerleader growing up. And so he was on the basketball team. And we were in the hotel room, and I think maybe we were all playing like a game or something that kids play or something. And I just remember we kissed. And after, I was just like, oh, like, okay. I started to have these like feelings. I was like, I've never felt this before. And it was so innocent. Like when I tell you, like I don't think we were talking before, but every time we saw each other, we were like super flirty. And like, he was just always very respectful and always had manners. And I think that was why I probably liked him so much, because I just thought like, okay, this guy, he's just like, seems like a great guy to have a first kiss with. He didn't make it a big deal. I'm sure maybe he told his friends, but it never was like, oh, like, I found out like something. Like he had never like talked bad about me. Some boys when you're young, they like want to tell these like jokes that are kind of mean to like be flirty. He was not that type of guy. He was more so the type of guy that was like really, really sweet about everything. And yeah, and he was like super tall. And I was just like, he's a great candidate for a first kiss, clearly. And so I remember the next week at school, because I was probably like a weekend. The next week at school, we had started like hanging out and like just in the hallways and stuff. Or like maybe he would like walk me to my class, and I was just like, like this guy is just like, he's just so great. And I remember being at like one of my practices for cheer And we were like outside and we were running because our coach was making us run. I don't know why my cheer coach was making us run, but she was like, you guys have to run up along the bleachers or something like that. And the basketball team, they were running along the track. And one of the other girls, this is when I knew I really, really actually liked him. One of the other girls on my cheer team, she was older. She was a year older than me. And she was like, ooh, like he looks so good. Like she commented, she was like, so-and-so looks so good. Like, wow. And I just remember thinking like, bitch, why are you talking about my man? Obviously he wasn't my man, but I was just being that territorial Scorpio young girl, like, girl, she don't even know, you know. And I wasn't the type, I'm not gonna be like, oh well, we just kissed last weekend. Like I wasn't that type of girl. So I was just like, ugh. Like it just made me be like, girl, anyways, because she was like one of those girls that like would flirt with everybody's man, like everybody's man, or every man period, every boy period. And I just remember being like, girl, stop, like just give it a rest. So then after that, we started, like I said, we started hanging out more and everything, and things were so fun and so great and so dandy. And then I think we had probably hung out a couple more times. Maybe we had done some like personal like hangouts. I can't really remember. I just remember at that time I was always around like everyone in our like friend group, like even like the different sub friend groups, like we were just like always around each other. So I think there was probably just like a bunch more hangouts, and we never ended up officially dating because you guys, sorry, I had to clear my throat. This guy stopped talking to me out of nowhere. I don't even remember how long it took. Maybe it was like I don't even know. It seemed like a long time, but maybe from like mid sophomore year to senior year, this guy stopped talking to me. And I was so confused. I was like, he's not dating anybody else. Cause you obviously can tell somebody's dating someone else. He wasn't dating anybody else. He wasn't talking to anybody else that I could see. It didn't seem. And we literally stopped being friends. So shortly after we kissed, we stopped being friends, and we had not spoken. And I'd never approached him. I never asked him. Like he just, every time he saw me, he just was like, he was just like disgusted with me. And I didn't know why, you guys. And I just was like, whatever. So obviously like throughout the years, like I just decided to find other like whatever. I just explored other like things like in other people, and just continued on my life. Because at the end of the day, like nothing stops for a man. Like you want to stop talking to me, all right, cool, like that's your prerogative. And I never thought to ask him why for some reason, but I just felt the cold shoulder, and I just was like, that's strange. But he just wasn't fucking with me. Fast forward to senior year of high school, and we had a morning class together, and so we kind of sat in the same area because like I said, all the people who we were kind of like friends with, we all pretty much stayed like around the same type of like friend group in a way. And so it was just one of those things where I was just like, okay, cool, like I know him. I've known him since literally moving to this city, like moving to Tennessee, and he had always like been around. So even throughout like cheer and everything and me cheering for his team, like he still never talked to me all those other years. Senior year comes, we had the same class together, and I don't know how, but I think it was just like we just started to just be like, oh haha, like be silly with one another again, and like just be kind and just have like a good connection again, pretty much, you know, like build that friendship. And so we ended up hanging out at his house. I think he did something, like he always ended up doing something for his birthday. So I think we did something for his birthday, like us and a bunch of his friends, and like his family always went all out for his birthday and stuff. And we ended up like having a conversation, and he was like, do you know why like we stopped like talking sophomore year? And I was like, oh my god, yeah, you like, why did you stop talking to me sophomore year? Like I just didn't understand. Like I thought we were good, like after what happened, like what was tea? And he ended up telling me, he said this one guy off of his same basketball team who was a senior. Was he a senior? Was a senior or junior at the time? I think the guy was a senior at that time when we were sophomores. He said the guy on his basketball team told him that he had sex with me. I was like, shut up right now. No, he did not. Oh my God, you guys. I was so shook because first of all, like, I literally I've never spoken 2 words to this guy. Ever. I've never even talked to that guy. And, I mean, I thought the guy who he was talking about was cute, but I had never dealt with that guy ever before. And on top of all of that, I didn't even know that that guy knew who I was. Let's start there. Like, I literally didn't even know that guy knew who I was. We had never spoken 2 words to each other. And I was so confused. I was like, why would he say that? He was like, so that didn't happen? And I was like, no, we did not do that. Like, what is he talking about? And he was like, damn. And mind you, obviously, by this time, by our senior year, that guy had long gone graduated. He was like, oh, wow. Like, he was like, that's why I stopped talking to you, because they said that you had, like, did that with that guy. And I thought that we liked each other and all this stuff. And I was like, shut up right now. Like, that is the most craziest thing I had ever heard. And it was interesting because I was so, like, very innocent at that time, and I very much, like, minded my business. Like, all I did, cheer, I was a theater kid, and I think it was maybe in another club, I can't remember. But I was just, like, always, like, just like, school, all of my extracurriculars, and, like, hanging out with my friends when I was allowed to and stuff. And so I thought that was so interesting. And I don't remember if he ended up talking about. I was probably like, well, why did you, like, not ask me? Like, why did you not bring that to me? And he just was like, I was so pissed. Like, I just felt, like, betrayed, and I just was like, whatever. And so for two years, he held that grudge against me, and he really thought that I had dealt with this guy. And of course, like, some older guy on your basketball team, you're not going to think that he's lying to you about some younger girl or something, like, because what does he have to gain? But, like, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember, like, when I was like in theater at that time, the basketball team, like, some of the older guys, they would, like, come around to, like, our theater practices and stuff sometimes, because one of the basketball players was on, like, was in the play this year, and, like, I was always, like, in theater. The only time I wasn't in theater was, like, my freshman year. But, like, for me, I didn't care if people thought, like, oh, theater's cooler, theater, because obviously, like, theater kids, like, you're always going to kind of get shit. But that year specifically, when the basketball player was in theater, it kind of made everybody want to come see the play, because he was one of the star basketball players. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, like, we have to come see the show. You know what I mean? So it made it, like, that much more interesting. So maybe that way I got on that guy's radar. And then on top of that, like, you know, like, at pep rallies, of course, the cheerleaders are leading everything and whatever. But I had never thought in a million years that some senior guy who, like, I mean, I thought he was cute, but never would have thought he would, like, make up a lie like that. So senior year, I remember thinking, like, damn, like, that really, like, he really did change, like, the trajectory of what could have been my high school experience in a completely different way. Because I'm like, I really had a senior boy lying on my name as a sophomore, and not even being aware of it, and not having someone tell me, like, oh yeah, this is what happened. So yeah, I thought that was just such a crazy experience, but it taught me a lot about, like, looking back, communication, and having an open dialogue with someone about, like, why maybe the energy has changed out of nowhere, and not always just, like, letting things, like, slide and, like, not charging things to the game. Because I feel like I'm the type of person, like, if I kind of peep something and somebody's moving funny, like, I'll literally just be like, I mean, that's your prerogative, like, you got it, right? And so even thinking about that at that time, it made me want to, like, figure things out more with people and ask them, like, oh, like, did I do something, or oh, like, what's the reason that you wanted to, like, that you don't want to talk anymore, that you don't want to. But I feel like that also kind of held me back in a sense, especially when it came to being in college, because I feel like in college and like even having like friendships with people, I feel like I had given them more chances and felt like there was something that I could do to kind of like fix them or change their mind about maybe why they didn't want to be friends anymore, or about why they like didn't, or why they randomly stopped talking to me out of nowhere. Because I feel like that would happen in college too. I would have like friendships where the friend would like randomly stop talking to me out of nowhere, and then later I find out they were another friend. They're like, oh, well, actually we stopped talking to you because this and that and that and this. And I'm just like, oh, really? Well, that's not something that I could have controlled. You know what I mean? And so it's just like really interesting how like your old situations or old like experiences that happen to you can truly affect how you like approach like the next thing or like the next chapter in your life. So I feel like I learned a lot from my first kiss and my first relation. Like, that wasn't my first relationship, but I learned a lot from my first kiss, because that was a person that I genuinely valued as a person, like in every chapter of my life since like I had moved to Tennessee. I was like, damn, like that person was such a great friend to me and just like a great person in life to everybody, always was positive. And then for him to just cut me off, I was like, damn, like I must have really offended him. But yeah, guys, that is the story. Let me know if you want to hear any other stories, because I feel like I love like sharing little tidbits like that. And I feel like hearing your first kiss story, it's so cutesy and very innocent. And yeah, comment down below your first kiss story, because I actually want to know, because I feel like everybody's first kiss story is different, and mine came very late. I feel like 16. But also at the same time, 16 is the perfect age, because anything before 16, I feel like, I don't know. It just depends on your parents, I feel like. But I don't know. I was really, and then on top of that, I have 3 older brothers, and I feel like just like thinking about my older brothers and my dad, I was like, I'm not trying to get in no extra trouble. But yeah. So love you, girls. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe down below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.